Hey there, welcome back to another video. This time around, it is my review and rant on the 1987 film Homoti, aka the gay Turkish ET film. Yes, this is apparently a thing. Now, before I get around to sharing more of my thoughts on this film, I would like to give a special shout out to Thomas for requesting this review. And if there is another film, TV show, or topic that you would like to see me discuss in the future, feel free to donate to either my PayPal or to my Patreon. Link to both is in the video description down below, and I'll try to get your request as soon as I possibly can. Now, Homoti is a very odd movie. This is a film that apparently wasn't even intended to ever see the light of day. It was a movie that apparently was just something that was a bit of a passion project for whatever reason, or just something that director, writer, producer, and star Müjdat Gezen just decided to do with his free time. And it wasn't even released in Turkey officially. I didn't get a theatrical release, wasn't officially financed by the Turkish film industry. It's just something that this guy did on his own with his own money. And somehow the VHS or the master copy of what this guy put together with this piece of shit wound up in the hands of somebody in Germany, and then they made copies of it and started selling it and offering it for rental to the Turkish community over there. And that's the reason why this even exists, for anyone to watch it. Honestly, if you ask me, it should have just stayed in the dark, never to be seen or heard from again, because there is not much to this movie that really makes it much of a entertaining experience, let alone something that is honestly worthwhile. It's the kind of movie that should have just stayed buried. Now, it's directed by Müjdat Gezen, and if you ask me, this guy is the epitome of somebody who should just stay either acting, which I don't think he's that great of an actor either, but I would say he's definitely arguably a bit better of an actor than he is a director or a writer, or he should just stick to writing stuff that isn't for film. Because this is a guy who is well known for writing a lot of articles and different pieces and different books, comedies or other genres, or stuff about politics, especially politics. He was very well known for his discussions and critiques of different people who in power in Turkey. And in a lot of ways, he still is. Like, he actually had some recent controversy for criticizing the recent dictator that was in power over in Turkey. And this still really stands out and sticks out like a sore thumb when it comes to the rest of his career. It just doesn't really match a lot of the other things that he's done. Unless you want to count the comedy starring Adolf Hitler that he did in 2015 as a director. But other than that, this is definitely an outlier. And yes, that's a real thing that he did. It's a movie that features fat Hitler. Yeah, fat Hitler in a comedy. Um, and that's the last film that he directed. His direction is really quite rank. This is definitely the kind of direction that is very rancid, very putrid, and all kinds of pathetic. I mean, the camera work in this most of the time is just reminiscent of the kind of shit that I put together when I was 5, when I decided to just grab my parents' camcorder and just decided to start randomly filming shit around the house. The only time that you see anything that is, I guess, somewhat competent when it comes to filmmaking is maybe a decent pan or a zoom or the most basic tracking shot, but most of the time the direction is just painfully inept and just very bare bones and features the work of somebody who is just really not cut out for this. Now, you also have some really inadequate and inferior framing as well when it comes to the shots. Most of the time, it's just one stock, rigid, stodgy, standard a bit of framing for every shot in the film, with maybe one or two exceptions, but most of the time it's the same framing, and it gets old really fast. And for a film that already suffers from so many problems, having direction that is this poor just makes the movie even worse and even harder to watch. Now, as bad as the directing is by Gezen, his screenplay is even worse, if that's even possible. This is barely even a script. This is barely even the plot for a movie. It centers around this reporter named Ali who runs into a space alien with a dummy thick ass and a wrinkly ball sack for a head, and he just inexplicably out of nowhere just decides to take this random alien back home with him and plops him on the couch and just starts chit-chatting with his alien. And by the way, this all happened in a span of a ridiculously short amount of time. Uh, Ali was struggling in terms of finding a piece to write for his boss at the paper, and his boss was threatening. It seemed like he was threatening to maybe fire him if he didn't come up with a story fast. And he definitely needed to do that because otherwise he wouldn't be able to afford the payments on his sweet three-wheeler that he rides around the city. So he didn't want to give that up. So he definitely has to come up with a story fast. And he decided to take inspiration from his boss, who mentioned something about aliens, and then starts making fake photos of UFOs by throwing trash cans in the air and then taking photos of them. And then he just randomly comes across this alien in a spaceship. And he doesn't even like get freaked out by it either. He's just like, oh, there's an alien there and a spaceship. I'm just gonna go up and say hi. He just walks up casually to the alien and is like, hey, what's up, dude? What's up, man? How are you? What's your name? I'm Ali. What's yours? Homoti. And then he just takes the alien home with him. But prior to seeing the first extended conversation between Ali and this alien on his couch in his living room, we are subjected to his really irritating comic relief housemaid named Hachi, who is going around to different butcher shops and different shops throughout the city and asking for different things, but because she's so irritating and annoying and bitchy, she's just being given free shit. Is that how it works in Turkey? You just have to be an annoying, shrill, bitchy twat, and then you'll just get all this free stuff? I mean, what? They're all the shopkeepers are like, here, take it. Just get out of my shop. God, you're giving me a headache. And then she heads up home, and she also interacts with the alien. And at first, she reacts the way that most people would. She faints and freaks out. Not Ali though. He just starts having conversations with this alien. The alien mentions that, hey, don't interview me for your paper, and Ali's like, why? And the alien's like, well, I'll get in trouble, and I'll get punished back home if you interview me. And Ali's like, well, how are you gonna get punished? And the alien is like, they'll keep me in my house for a day. I'm like, what kind of punishment is that? I've gone days in my house. That's not a punishment. Oh, I just can put you in your own house for a day. Like what? That doesn't seem like it's that harsh of a punishment. Definitely not harsh enough that I can't interview you. I'm sorry, Homoti. We're gonna be doing this interview now. I don't give a shit if you're gonna be stuck in your home for a day. Give me a break. Uh, but no, he makes a deal with Homoti because Homoti's like, hey, if you don't do this interview, I will do other things for you that you can talk about in your paper. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. Just takes his word for it, even though he could be bullshitting him. And you also find out later on that this alien is gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, whatever floats your boat, whatever you're into, but why? I read that it was something that was kind of like an attempt to be a satire, a little bit of subtext here, but it just comes across as more random and just an attempt to try to be shocking than anything else. It's not very fleshed out or very well detailed, and it doesn't add any extra depth to Homoti. And so Hachi sees the alien, faints, and then she warms up to the alien pretty quickly, and then is having conversations with it as well, and cracking jokes with the alien. And the alien's like messing around with her and grabbing her in the face. And then she's saying lines like this: tell a lunatic to flirt, he'll shit on your carpet. Just stop it. It's an actual line of dialogue in this movie. And the reporter guy Ali, every now and then he will leave the couch and leave his home to go back to his job and talk to the reporter guy, or go on really awkward dates with this work colleague of his who apparently just randomly becomes the love interest in this woman named, I think, Ashley Ghoul, and played by Bahar. I think it's Bahar Öztan. I could be wrong. I'm not entirely sure. I honestly might have forgotten the name, but it's just some random Turkish woman who admittedly is pretty attractive, but it definitely seems like she doesn't want anything to do with him initially on, because they go on this very awkward date initially, and then she's like laughing and smiling. This is exactly how this interaction goes between her and Ali. And then it just cuts. It just randomly cuts after that. Like, that guy has no chance now with that woman. So, but I guess he has enough game that he ultimately gets her. I have no idea why. He even takes her back to go see Homoti. And then there is this random guy who's gay who happens to be in the neighborhood and is friends with Hachi. And he starts, hanging out with Homoti. There's like, ha ha, he's one of us. Ha 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 ha. And then they have like a dinner party, and then they get Homoti drunk on champagne. This is actually something that happens in this movie. And there's a scene between Hachi and Homoti where after Homoti is like, he's had a few too many glasses of champagne, she's all like, "You're drunk, dude." Like that's another actual line in this piece of shit movie. And Ali needs to get something for his paper, otherwise he's gonna get in trouble with his boss. So Homoti provides him with something for him to write about, and it's just some guy that he manifested out of thin air flying around on a carpet. Yeah, some random guy with sunglasses flying around on a flying carpet, and then Ali is there on the carpet, and then he has the reporter chick that he's hoping he will bang later, taking photos from a hang glider that he got to ride for free because apparently that's one of the perks of being a reporter back in Turkey. This is all stuff that actually happens in this movie. I'm not making any of this up. And so he writes the article where he records the footage and then shows it to his boss, who then is like, "Oh wow, this is real? Okay, so you weren't bullshitting me about the flying carpet story. Okay." And then he finds out about Homoti, and so do other people. There's this other guy who works at the newspaper who's jealous and or is honestly concerned about what's going on, and so he follows um Ali back to his place, or he finds out that the alien is there and he sneaks in, and then the alien punishes him by making him float in midair in a really shitty looking effect. Oh, and there's other bits too where the alien is just drinking and eating random shit. Like this guy just goes to various different homes in the neighborhood and is delivering food, and this alien is a glutton and is a thief and just and a mooch and just drinks everybody's milk and water and just honestly, he kind of screws over Ali and his family because he eats. He's basically, oh, I'll do milk delivery. I'll take that. Oh, water delivery. I'll take that. There is some random thing that happens later on where the alien showcases that it can teleport. So it could have just teleported away this entire time, but it doesn't do that for some reason. Because I guess it really likes Ali in more ways than one, as you'll find out later. And then after the alien gets drunk and then I guess recovers from his hangover, and you get like a bunch of color bars as if the movie just died, and there's color bars now randomly for like a minute. Then it randomly cuts to somebody watching Jaws. Yes, that's an actual scene in this movie too. Jaws is just on the television now. And then you pan out and Homoti is watching Jaws. I'm like, wow, okay. Uh don't give a shit about copyright apparently. And the alien is freaked out by Jaws and wants to leave, but then Hachi tells him it's just a movie and it's just a fish model, and then the alien's like, okay, all right. And I believe the stuff with the guy who got stuck in midair happened after that. Forgive me if I don't really remember exactly what happened when. This movie's a fever dream, and I have a hard time remembering exactly what is going on with the movie, even though I saw it a day ago. So you have that going on. The alien watches Jaws. The alien makes a guy float in midair because he was rude to the alien. He shows that he can teleport by teleporting away from this random lady. Then the alien gets taken by the guy. Well, he gets taken by somebody else. Some other guys figure out about the alien. I don't know how. And then they take the alien and they kidnapped Ali. No, actually, they kidnap Ali. The alien is fine, but they kidnap Ali, I believe. No, actually, what happened is they kidnapped the alien first, and then Ali went to go find Homoti, and then he got kidnapped and tied up with the alien. But the alien used his magic powers to make like a camera fused to some guy's face. Uh, which actually I think that was the other guy who floated in midair. But with these other guys who were like kidnappers, he just gets out of his bonds and then makes them like fall into a random body of water out of nowhere. Yes, that's another thing that happens in this movie. And then Ali shares a big hug with Homoti. And then after, I think he just bangs his woman, like after he goes out on another date, and this time it actually goes well because he actually scores. And then Homoti is jealous because he was the one that had a crush on Ali, and then leaves. And then after a wild night of sex with his hot coworker, uh, Ali, once he realizes that Homoti is gone, decides to take his friends to go find Homoti in the woods. And oh yeah, Hachi was assaulted by one of the grocery store workers with a crate, and it disfigured her face. And honestly, considering all the crap that she put those guys through, I don't think they were in the wrong for doing what they did. It's kind of a crowd pleasing moment. But she's all messed up now, wearing bandages, looking like the Invisible Man, and then she actually gets an invisible head later because she goes with Ali and the rest of the friends to find Homoti in the woods, and then Homoti messes with her and makes her head disappear. And then, of course, he brings it back though, but he was just trolling her. And then Homoti says his goodbyes, and then gets in a spaceship and flies off, and Ali and pals wave goodbye, and that's Homoti. Oh, there was also an ET action figure for some reason in this with red glowing eyes that I guess was from Homoti's planet that is communicating with Homoti somehow. I don't know how. It's never explained. Just randomly pops up in one scene. But that's honestly the closest thing to ET that you get in this movie, to be honest. Because even Homoti doesn't even really look that much like ET. Looks like something else. Straight out of your nightmares. But yeah, this is not a good screenplay. It's a comedy of points, but it's never funny unless it's unintentionally funny because of the craziness of gay ET, or some of the dialogue, or some of the situations or scenarios that gay ET is involved with, or the bad acting or the bad special effects. Other than that, like, there's not a lot of intentional comedy that's actually clever or funny. The plot, like I said, there's barely anything to speak of in terms of a tangible plot. So for most of the time, you're bored. You're just bored out of your mind because there's not really a whole lot there to get engaged with or interested in when it comes to the overall plot. The characters, any depth, any real tangible or relatable strengths or qualities of these characters is completely non-existent. So this is just a really awful screenplay. It's horrible. It's a horrid script. And the performances are equally as abhorrent, if you ask me, as a majority of the movie. Müjdat Gezen, not a very good actor, not very charismatic, not really that talented of a performer, if you ask me. Uh, the rest of the cast, not any better. Hachi, played by Perran, Kutman, Bahar, Öztan as Azigul, Altan Erbulak, who plays Ali's boss, Savas Dinçel as Hadar, Demet Akbag as Zeynep. Um, there's really not a lot when it comes to this cast that is serviceable, let alone strong, when it comes to their performances. The performances are all weak or woeful. And anything else about this movie? I mean, the production design, dirt poor, cheap. The art direction is more the same. The ET puppet, it looks like ass and has way too much ass in your face. And the other effects, like the other kind of digital effects that they use when it comes to Homoti's magic powers, are really chintzy looking. The music, when it's not seemingly completely copying already existing material, just sounds either completely off and out of place, or is hard to place and hard to remember. And the editing is mostly excruciating because there's numerous scenes where it just stops or randomly cuts, and there's not really a strong transition from one scene to the next. It's just all of a sudden a scene stops and then another scene starts up. And sometimes it loses you in terms of what the context of the scene is and what is going on because the editing is so bad and so choppy. And for a film that's like an hour and 17 or hour and 20 something minutes, it sure as hell drags. It's dong. It's uh uh ball sack, alien head, all over the place because it's just incredibly tedious and slow and hard to sit through. Because when it's not unintentionally funny because of just some of the wild, random, crazy bits in the movie, it's a total snooze fest. It's a bore fest, and it's really it's definitely something that would probably be an effective narcoleptic. Like if you were having a hard time sleeping, you might have a bit of insomnia, this might help you with that. Because it's just such a boring movie most of the time. And yeah, I really don't know what else to say about Homoti, the gay Turkish ET film, or LGBT, other than this movie fucking sucked. And unless you're like a connoisseur of Turkish bad movies, I definitely would not recommend this film. Honestly, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone unless you are somebody who has a particular taste for cinematic punishment. But anyway, that's just my rant and review of Homoti, and until next time, I'll see you later. See ya.